Welcome to Scorched Earth. This is going to be a mid-month reading for the sign of Libra, Sun, Moon or Ascendant. If you don't know what your Moon or Ascendant signs are, have a look in the description box below. There's a link down there. If you follow that, it will give you your natal chart for free. And then you should come back and watch the videos for your Moon and Ascendant signs, because they'll give you a better idea of what's going on with you generally than you might ordinarily get from just your Sun sign. So with that out of the way, I would like to express my gratitude for your continued support. All your subscribes, shares, likes, comments, donations, messages. I've had some really wonderful messages of late from people just reaching out to let me know how the videos have resonated with them, and it's been really quite wonderful to have that level of connection, even though we are also geographically isolated. So I thank you for that. It's been really quite heartwarming. So with all that out of the way, because this is a mid-month reading, I'm going to make it a little shorter than the general monthly one. I'm just going to pull 3 cards to see where you are right now. 3 cards for what's coming towards you, and 3 cards of advice. I'm hoping not to have to draw any clarifiers, but if I do need to, then I will. So, let's see where Libra is right now. Tell me about Libra's energy. First card we have is the 4 of Fire. That's been coming out a lot. It's the 4 of Wands in a standard deck. It's a card of Leo. It's been coming out for most of the signs at some point. Another 2 cards for Libra, please. Where is Libra right now? Oh, there they go. Oh, right. We've got the 9 of Wands and the 7 of Skies. That's the 9 of Fire, actually. And 7 of Swords as it is there. Right. So at the bottom of the deck we've got the 3 of Fire, which is kind of expansion. That's my key word for this card. Often it's about having put the groundwork into something and then kind of bringing it out into the 3D, right? Like externalizing whatever it was that you decided in your head in the 2, bringing it out into the world where it can be seen. We start with the 4 of Fire, and I'm just going to show you this because it's absolutely beautiful. If you haven't seen the deck walkthrough that I did for this deck, it's in a playlist on the channel somewhere. But all the minor arcana fit together to make a picture, like a story all the way along. And you've got 2 consecutive cards there, so I'm going to show you that. Right. Oh shit! I put them the wrong way around. There we go. So the first card that you've got is the 4 of Wands, right? Or 4 of Fire, as it is. And this, for me, talks about home, right? Because all of the 4s are a very foundational energy, right? You have a plan in the 2. It's very internal. In the 3, you externalize that plan. Bring it out into the world. And the 4, you kind of bed it down, right? Build foundations with it. When we get into the 5, that's about blowing it up again, but let's not worry about that now. And the ones are, creativity and passion and excitement, It's very present energy also. But it seems like you are, probably like a lot of us, giving a lot of thought to what underpins your existence, what it is that makes you happy, what it is that is worthy of celebration, and this could be family, circumstances, such like that. But given how we all are at the moment, we're all being given a lot of time to think, and it seems like you've been doing a bit of pondering on this. Now, the next card that you've got is the 9 of Wands, right, or the 9 of Fire. And although it's the same the same element, there's quite a difference in hue here. I'll pull some clarifiers. Let's see what I want to do. I'm going to use the commonplace. Because ordinarily for me, the 9 of Fire can talk about boundaries, right? The importance thereof, or the erection thereof, or the need to do it where you don't have any. But sometimes it can be about having to fight for things when you don't really feel like you have the energy to do it. The next card on is the 10, and that's the card of burden, right? That's things kind of hitting your limit with stuff, things getting too hard. The 9 being the step before that. The way I see all of the 9s are very personal and very internal, right? If the 9 of Cups is about, for me, as it is, making yourself happy, knowing what it is that you want. If the 9 of Pentacles is about knowing how to take care of yourself in a material sense. So the 9 of Fire is kind of knowing what's important to you, I guess. Knowing how you would fight for it. But let's get a clarifier. Ooh, let's see. Ooh, 2, straight off the bat. We've got the Star and the Sun. That's interesting. The Star is the card of Aquarius. The Sun is the card of Leo. And if you're dealing with either of those, then that might be relevant. But the Star, sometimes called the Wish card, right? And I feel like that's a bit airy-fairy for the power that the Star contains, right? For a start, it talks about great healing, right? This character here, she's naked, and she's vulnerable. Like, she appears vulnerable, but she's not. She's just really comfortable in her own skin, right? She has nothing to hide. She has nothing to fear. And so she can appear in all her naked glory, and she's pouring into a pond, right? There's this sense of doing your part to heal things, right? Pouring the water, the emotions and the feelings into a body of water, a collective, and this could be the people around you. But for me, when you talk about following your guiding star, like, we all understand what that means. You go with your gut, you go with what you feel. Sometimes it's because you have a vision of how things are going and you follow that. Now, the important thing for that is that there's trust and faith involved, because if you did not have trust or faith in the star, whatever it represented to you, you just wouldn't follow it, right? But here you are doing so, and you're following it towards another celestial body, which is the sun, right? It's the most positive card in the deck. It talks about true childlike happiness at things, right? It sort of harkens to a time where we had no worries, before we became old and jaded by the experiences that we've undergone. It's like it's uncovering that childlike excitement about things. And as it goes together, there's a sense of you not only understanding what is important to you, not only understanding what is foundational to you, but also then how you expand on that as a vision, right? How you bring that into the reality of your existence, how you in fact use it to shine for other people, right? It's almost a sense of stripping yourself bare and shining a light for other people, saying you have nothing to fear, like, this is the way around. Maybe you're being really helpful in your community at the moment, something like that, it's possible. But there's a sense of you extrapolating up from this cornerstone or this foundation or whatever it is that you've built for yourself, understanding what's important with that, and then sort of going out and almost teaching other people that they can do the same. Now, the final card that you've got is the 7 of Swords for your current energy, or the 7 of Skies as it is here. Now, it's often called the Thief card, and it can sometimes indicate deception and things like that. But I don't see that with this card. It's just too beautiful, It looks like a sheathed sword to me. Let's pull a couple of clarifiers, see what it's got to say. Why is the 7 of Skies here for Libra, please? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're not taking all of those. Let's put those back in. Oh. I actually see this as you feeling quite emboldened, Libra. We've got, to clarify, the Two of Pentacles and the Mage, right? Now, Libra is preoccupied with balance, right? This is, you literally depicted as a set of scales, right? Everything about Libra has to be finely tuned, right? You spend your lives finding that perfect space, that perfect balance, right? And for me, the Two of Pentacles absolutely talks about that, just as the Six of Pentacles does too, and lots of other cards, in fact. The Two of Pentacles, it's one of the cards that varies dramatically between decks. You know, a lot of them are kind of much of a muchness, and you can spot a card from a mile off what it is. And this is obviously a Two of Pentacles, but the positions that the characters are depicted as holding, and the expressions that are on their faces, they are the things that vary dramatically. And sometimes the characters look stricken, and sometimes they're kind of standing on one leg and looking like they're in perilous danger, you know, like to be swept off a wave, swept off a jetty by a wave, you know, something like that. And there's usually a very emotional component to it. Don't get an emotional feeling from this. This chap is very intently kind of juggling these pentacles, and it's like he's completely oblivious to what's going on around him, but it doesn't look like he's under any kind of pressure or any kind of stress or in any kind of peril. In fact, you know, he's just really concentrating on what he's doing, and there's this sense of you really concentrating on what you're doing at the moment. And I wouldn't say necessarily impressed by your own ability to do it, but certainly taking an amount of detached pleasure in how you are managing to keep things balanced. Now, the concentration thing I find interesting, because then the next card that you have is the Mage. That's the Magician in a standard deck. And this is a really powerful card of manifestation, right? This is somebody who knows all the right ratios with which to blend, you know, intent and the elements to bring into the 3D anything that they want. The reason that I said that I felt like you were feeling emboldened is because I feel like this is about you contemplating taking something which a little while ago you might have considered to have been a risk, right? Maybe too much of a risk. But now it's sitting in your energetic sphere, right? It's in your mind. It's something that you're thinking about, and you're kind of thinking, yeah, I might go for it. Because you're balanced, because you've got everything just right, you know, where you like it, very finely tuned, you know, precision, and you're ready to bring it out into the world. And what it is, I don't know, you'll have to fill in the gaps for you, but I find it very interesting. It's a very nuanced position. It's very, I feel very calm as I'm talking about it as well, you know, not overly excited or, you know, concerned about it in any way, just like, yeah. And it feels like it's come with little tiny steps. I like it. What's coming towards Libra for the last 2 weeks of April, 15th to the 30th? What does Libra need to know? Fuck. The Star again. What's coming towards Libra? Six of Earth balance there. But a Six of Earth balance. A Six of Earth that dropped out there, which is another card of balance, as I said before. What's coming towards Libra, please? Whoa. Reversed. All right, so we've got Temperance at the bottom of the deck. Like you, Sagittarians are very concerned with balance, and the Temperance card speaks about balance, you know, just as the Star had these two cups being poured into this collective pool, so the angel that usually depicts temperance is pouring from one cup into another, right, with no fear of them ever running out. But that angel is pretty symmetrically presented, you know, and balance and patience and all that kind of thing is implied by this, right? This is what we've got underneath. Like, you don't feel like you're rushing anything, right? This is these little steps. You're being very patient. You're being very balanced about it. You're being very, in fact, Libran about it, which is wonderful. But what you've got coming towards you is the star, right? And I feel like in this depiction, it's becoming more expansive, right? You had the original vision, you got comfortable with how you could bring it to other people, you know, and enrich other people with what you were doing. And now you're getting comfortable with the idea of bringing it out into the world. This feels like it's putting more detail into it, right? And possibly expanding it, making it bigger. Making it exceed in some way, actually, to some end. To some expanding it far beyond its original remit as it appeared to you in your head, you know, just as you've taken these little steps and become more comfortable with it as an idea. So it is beginning to grow and take on, you know, a bit more of a life of its own. Let's get some more cards for this. Tell me about the star, please. Tell me about the star for Libra. That's 2 cards. Queen of Cups and the Hanged One. Right. There's the Queen of Cups there. There's the cup in her hand. And she looks ready to proffer it to someone. And I think that's really interesting because in the King of Cups, in this particular deck, the king is kind of cradling the cup. It's almost like he's sort of thinking about giving it to someone, but I'm not really sure, you know, in this, which I find quite interesting. This one, the Queen literally looks like she's in the act of giving it to someone else, and that feels like whatever this, you know, whatever this star, whatever this vision is, excuse me, that you have, you're getting ready to show it to people. Yeah. You've got the Hanged One here, and I think it's here because it's not quite ready yet, right? It's more of this patience, more of this waiting, right? You know that the time isn't quite right yet, and that's why the Queen is not actively handing it to someone else, but it's there and she's getting ready to pass it over, right? The next card that you've got is the Four of Earth, right? And that's the Four of Pentacles in a standard deck. And ordinarily that talks about a need to release because you're holding on too tight to something. But it's more for energy. It's more foundational stuff. Right? It's because it's Earth, because it's Pentacles, it's about the stuff that you can see, right? Tell me about the Four of Earth, please. There it is. Where's it gone? Another 4. This is interesting. So we've got the Four of Cups now. And I think what this is saying is that there's a certain element of you that, because you're kind of hanging back, you've gone a little bit too far, well, you will go a little too far the other way. Like, there's a possibility that because you are waiting for that finely tuned exact point that is right to hand it to someone else, like to bring it out into the world, to manifest it such as it is, that you end up kind of running the risk of holding on too tightly to it, right, and not letting it go at the point where you're supposed to, not letting it out into the world, because then we've got this card here which talks about missed opportunity in amongst other things, you know, and then we've got the High Priestess as card of Pisces, but it talks about the internal space, certainly, and it's a very spiritual card, but it talks about secrets. It talks about keeping things hidden. Like, be aware, Libra, that sometimes you don't have to wait for the perfect time. Like sometimes the perfect time is just now, right? And you can pick up the detail in future, right? Just kind of seize the moment, carpe diem and all that kind of thing, rather than kind of sitting in that energy of just like, oh, it's not good. I think the time might be closer than you think. The final card for what's coming towards you is the Devil, but it's come out reversed. I thought that's really, really interesting, because when I was doing the pre-shuffle before I started recording, I'd actually gone through the deck and I had put all the cards the right way up again, because I do that periodically, because it's just something that I do. It pleases me to do so. And it's come out in the reverse anyway. It was one of the cards that was already reversed in the deck. Now, the right way up, that talks about fear, it talks about codependency, it talks about abuse, it talks about all the kind of dark, dingy stuff that we don't really like to think about that much. But ultimately, it is driven by fear. Right? Everything that it's coming at everything from a place of fear, just as, you know, the Lover's card, which is a reflection of the Devil card in the standard deck. I don't know if any of you have ever noticed that, but you've got, you know, one kind of demon or angel, and then you've got two people who are naked and stood, you know, in front of it. This feels like you're shedding the fear, right? Whatever it is that's making you hold on to this. And I think the fear is just that the time isn't perfect yet, right? And the fear that it will flop, whatever it is, this vision that you have, it will flop if you release it too soon. I think you're going to get on top of it. Oh shit. Tell me about the Devil. Why is the Devil here for Libra? Fuck's sake, right. Let's try that again. Why is the Devil here for Libra? Wow. Wow. Yeah. That's actually kind of perfect. So coming out of this fear about, you know, whatever this is, you know, you've got Death and the Hermit reversed, right? Death is a card of endings, yes, but I never really see them as endings, right? Because I just don't think that things end. Nothing ends, you know, like energy, you know, it cannot be created, it cannot be destroyed, it merely changes form. And that goes for everything on the planet, everything, including people, in my opinion, right? We don't stop, we just change form, as far as I'm concerned. So for me, the Death card is always transformation from one state to another, right? And the Hermit, this way around, it's about, you know, it's about staying in your cave, it's about keeping things very close to your chest, it's about going within to find the answers. When you turn it this way up, it's about coming out of that state, right? Obviously, to come out of it, you had to have been in it in the first place, and I feel like that's what this High Priestess and Four of Cups and Four of Pentacles energy is here in the middle. Like, you're going to come straight back out of that again and transform. Potentially, like the fear that you've had, you're going to turn it into a motivator to drive you forward, right? Car alarm going off somewhere. Right, let's get you some advice anyway. This is really intriguing. And there's been some notion of Libra working on a project of some description for a while, which is, like, maybe this is that thing, I don't know. Right, can I have some cards of advice for Libra, please? The one, like Page of Oceans, it's the Page of Cups. Some advice for Libra, please. I'm just going to show you this. I'm not going to take them because they haven't jumped, they've just flipped, but the two cards that have come out together are Temperance and the Six of Pentacles. Look. Two cards of advice for Libra, please. What does Libra need to know? Whoa. There we go. Oh, we got Hanged Man, yeah, and the Ace of Scythes, yep, right. At the bottom of the deck, we've got the Nine of Swords. Don't overthink this, right? Or if you do, because I feel certainly that you are doing that, and these middle cards right here, you know, these Fools, when you catch yourself doing it, that's the time to move, right? Don't dwell on it. Don't think about it too much. We've got the Page of Oceans, right? Now, this can often be an apology, right? So I'll get all the obvious stuff out of the way. It's for me, it's a card of Pisces. But it's about small expressions of love. And I feel like whatever this is that you're working on, it is an expression of you. You know, there's a lot of you in it somewhere, right? And slowly and gently bring it out into the world, right? Because the world needs to see it. They clearly do. We've got the Hanged Man, which is another card of Pisces. If you've got a Pisces in the mix here somewhere who's integral to this, then maybe listen to what they have to say about the situation. But if not, it talks about the gaining of wisdom from looking at things in a different perspective, right? And I think that that's what you're being called to do when you catch yourself overthinking about it. Look at it from a different perspective. You know, acknowledge the drivers that you have as, you know, Libra, as a cardinal air sign, and this need for balance and this need for doing things a particular way all the time. But sometimes when you're doing it to your detriment, if you can catch yourself doing it, right, that is the time to shift your thinking, right? Flip yourself upside down, get a bit of blood to a different part of the brain, you know, see things from a different angle. This is what's going to help you in the last 2 weeks. And then we've got the Ace of Skies, which is the Ace of Swords. So this is about clarity of thought, it's about clarity of expression, but it's about new, fresh insights, right? And these can be epiphanies. These, you know, are often sent to you by source or spirit, or, you know, your higher self, or whatever you choose to believe. But it is having new insight. It is seeing things in a different way, right? And it's moving forwards in truth with your truth, right? It's really, really positive. And it's your race as well, you know, like this is your strong suit, as it were. Don't be afraid of the truth. And the truth is that you're pretty awesome, you know, though you seem to doubt it sometimes, or you doubt the validity of what it is that you're doing. And you shouldn't do that, because you're on the right track. Right, Libra, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to have some lunch. I've been in here for hours. I love you all very much, and I will see you very soon. Ooh.